do this little second video. I didn't go all the way to San Antonio. I got stuff I need to do today. But I'll do a little update. Sure enough, on the news, I'm listening to the news, and it reminded me of something I wanted to mention. I watched NBC News, and this is the live 24/7 news, which you could get on the internet, and I get it on my TV because I have a Roku system. And I do put that news on. It's like putting on CNN. And they did a couple of stories, but one, and I didn't want to make fun of it, and I'm not, but it talked about self-marriage. And I just heard it again on the radio. So it's called Soligamy. And it showed, and they tried to do a respectful thing, but it's people who marry themselves. They have a ceremony, they tell their loved ones and all, I'm going to get married, but I'm marrying myself, do an official wedding, and then as I watched it on the NBC News, they, had, it's not just a fad, but it's many websites now, and, a whole catering to the... Now, I'm not making fun of it, I just would say they did about 10 minutes or 8 minutes on that, and I just thought, if you're by yourself and you're single, and if that's what you like, that's okay. And to have a ceremony where you marry yourself, showing that you are self-affirmed and all that. The other thing that was a little disrespectful, I liked watching the clip, but now this is the news, mind you. This is not a commentary. It was NBC Live News online. And they showed the entire clip of Saturday Night Live, and they had Sean Spicer, a girl that plays Sean Spicer, and how... Now look, for Saturday Night Live, that's fine, but to have that on the news, and they showed the entire maybe 6-minute skit, and they had Trump and Spicer, and Trump trying to kiss Spicer and maybe do a little more, and all of that for Saturday Night Live. Look, that's fine. If I used to watch it, I don't watch it anymore. But to put that on the news, and as soon as the clip was over, the news lady, she's a black lady, I don't know her name, and then they went to other, world news. But to show that, I never remember a clip. If they did one where Obama, and it was all types of sexual innuendo that Trump would be having with Spicer, and Spicer says he's married. I know they did things on Obama, as comics do. I don't remember it being like that, and put that on the news. Now, being these are little news updates, kind of what I do in the rollouts, I read a good article by Chief Markle in the Polar Times, and I also read the former editor of the Polar Times, who also makes comments and writes editorials still. His name is Nick Jimenez. And the one from Chief Markle talked about the SB 4, Senate Bill 4, which is the anti-sanctuary city law that Texas recently passed. And Chief Markle basically, he gave a speech recently. I read it in the paper, I didn't watch it. But he said, not that it was much ado about nothing, but he basically said nothing really is going to change in their policing and policy in Corpus Christi, the way the cops do it. I agree with what he said. He said cops were always able to ask the immigration status of a person that they detained for whatever reason. Pulled them over for stop light out on the car. He said police officers always were able to ask that. And this law really does not require cops to ask it. So basically Chief Markle just said, when everything settles down, it's not. But also I understood the column by Nick Jimenez and the whole paper that particular day that I read was rightfully upset about the attitude of those that pushed through. They had a picture of Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, signing the law on live, Facebook Live and all. And I could tell that our newspaper is not super liberal, but at times they might end up doing crimes. They might, I don't know if they have a conservative, but it just, the SB4 struck a lot of fear in a lot of immigrants. And there have been some cases where people are getting deported where they wouldn't have gotten deported in the past. Okay? So, and they're rightfully upset because, for the most part, if you're dealing with crime and you had an immigrant commit a crime, then cops can deal with it like they would deal with any crime. But if you have people pulled over for minor offenses, and then they're under fear that they're going to be asked. So, look, I understand all that. By the way, I didn't teach. I normally teach with Pastor Don, like taught, or if I go to Church Unlimited or the Catholic Church, I always teach on those. And those normally go out a few days later. But I didn't teach it yesterday, not because of any particular reason, except the reason is my daughter and son-in-law are in New Jersey right now. And they got to my old house. They went to visit Grandma, as well as a big road trip, and taking care of the dogs and stuff for them. So that's why I did not do the teaching, which I normally do on Sunday with my daughter. But it would be a good way to close my nice time at CCCF in the last year on the various times I went. But it was a good message. Pastor Don spoke on Hannah. It was like a Mother's Day message. And Hannah is who we read about in Samuel, which I taught it recently this last year, and how she got a son from the Lord, which is Samuel, and she dedicated that son to God. And the few verses that Don had mentioned were ask of the Lord, quoted from James, you have not because you ask not. And I actually was reading some of that in Zechariah. Tomorrow I will teach Kings chapter 6. I'll do a few more comments on Zechariah. So the encouragement would be, ask God, are you in a situation or circumstance? Right now our country, today, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is hearing the case of the watered-down travel ban by President Trump. The first travel ban, which some in the media refer to the Muslim ban. At this stage, that's not what that is, but some. And in the arguments being made today before the Ninth Circuit Court, the judges are questioning the lawyers for the Justice Department who are defending the travel ban and the wording of the travel ban. Look, it's legal to do it. Any constitutional lawyer would say these are one of the executive orders that the president in this particular area pretty much can do this. I don't think there's any legal scholar that would debate whether or not he had the right to do the travel ban, whether you agree with it or not. Well, now the judges are questioning any of the statements that the president made when he was in the campaign, looking into the motivation. Look, I'm not defending him, but I'm saying it's a problem if you're going to open up a door that down the road, any order, executive order that's made by a president, it's going to be before a court, and then they're going to look at the motivation. Some of the questions I heard on the news, some of the questions the judges are asking the Justice Department lawyers who are defending the travel ban are, have you ever heard Mr. Trump say he wanted to ban Muslims? You're taking it into a legal proceeding, and I understand there's a lot of people in this country upset about a lot of things. But that's ridiculous to go to that degree of how it's operating. And that's a question in this country. Bill Sessions, the head of the Justice Department, made a comment a few weeks ago that some judge in Hawaii could make one decision on this particular thing. But the legitimate question is, we have the three branches of government, but is the judicial branch, this is a question Texas asked, are they overstepping their reach? In our state of Texas, you had the capital of Austin at times take these criminal charges against Texas congresspeople. And the famous case was Tom DeLay. I'm not a big fan of Tom DeLay, but when I looked at it, I thought, wow, they managed, because Austin is the capital, and they managed to actually get representatives who represent the state. They get them before court and charge them with criminal charges. In that particular case with Tom DeLay, it was under the RICO Act, which was the act instituted where I grew up, basically against the mafia, organized crime. How did Austin, Texas, bring charges against a congressman, Tom DeLay? Now, they were Austin's liberal, and they were going after Tom DeLay at that particular time. It's because he, a certain thing about campaign funds, taking money. But if you looked at it honestly, it had nothing to do with money laundering in the RICO Act. But look, they brought those charges. I think they found him guilty. Then he had to appeal and so when you have the courts doing things like that is a problem. And so that's just a little update. I mentioned I agreed with what Chief Markle said, that really the policing is not going to change. The law, pretty much as before, simply doesn't allow, which Austin was going to do, cities to pass ordinances that says we're a sanctuary city, which basically means we will not, our cops, our sheriffs, they're not going to be asking at all. There were sanctuary cities in certain cities throughout the country that are passing ordinances saying we will not ask for your immigration status at all. And so the SB4 simply kind of prevents Austin or any other city in Texas from declaring themselves a sanctuary city. Now, this is all going to keep getting more enforced. So this is the little second rollout. If I run into some of the guys later, I'll probably add that one in. I'll add a few scriptures. So that's the word of the Lord. If I was going to do a scripture on that. You have not because you asked. And the story of Hannah, she asked of God. And God gave her a son. And the Bible actually says she lent him to the Lord. And that's the great story of the prophet Samuel, which I call ask here. So ask God, seek God. It's a beautiful day today. I just wanted to do a little rollout on this second one. God bless.